Hi folks, this is Tom from MAWAcalc, and today I wanted to show you how we can use MAWAcalc alongside an AutoCAD workflow to do some preliminary analysis and make sure our landscape and irrigation system will be MWELO compliant before we get into our full planting and irrigation design. Okay, so we're gonna just jump on into AutoCAD, and although this is specifically for AutoCAD, many other drafting softwares should have a analogous approach to being able to do this. So first thing you'll notice is I have my landscape base plan here on the screen with all my XREFs attached. And what I've gone and done is created 4 layers and some line types here to go along with the WCAL's water use classifications. So what I'm going to do is essentially I'm going to be drawing some polylines and hatches that will give me a rough breakdown of the water use of the project. Let's assume that I already have a plant palette in mind, and we're just going to do some broad brush strokes before we get into an actual planting layout and eventual irrigation design. Okay, so let's first of all, we know that this area over here is going to be a lawn, so we're going to take our high water use and just draw a polyline like that. Come back and hatch at the end. And all right, so we have this front yard here and this backyard here with some planting areas. Let's say we're going to do some moderates. Let's take that and draw in a moderate zone. Okay, and I will fast forward through the rest of this process until I get to the next step. All right, so at this point I have all of my planting zones highlighted in are traced with polylines, and the layers are based, like I said, on our WCAL's designations. And so now what I'll begin to do is hatch these zones, and I'm going to do that all at once per color so that I can get a total reading on the area when I select that hatch. So let's go. Right, so now when I select, it highlights all the hatches in that group, and we get a number down here. All right, so now I'm going to go through and hatch the rest of the project. All right, so now we've got the entire project hatched. We are going to just take a quick note inside of some either mtext or text and let us know how big each zone is in terms of area. So we have our high, that's 387.9. We're going to round that to irrigate, and we have our moderate is 429. Low is 1476, and our very low is 96, right? Okay, so these are what we're going to use in MAWAcalc for each of our zones. So back in MAWAcalc, we come into our dashboard and we are going to use, I already started this test project here. And okay, we can see we have our project information in there. We've selected Sebastopol, California. That's where this project actually was. And we have our ETO value. We are going to add regular landscape areas since these are all regular areas. And we are just going to say this is our high, moderate, low, and very low. And we know that we are only going to be using drip on the, or overhead on the lawn, so we can make everything else drip. And then we will change our plant factor to the same plant factor that we are going to be using. And now we enter in our landscape areas. So we have 388, 429, 1476, and 96. All right, so what do we see here? Right away we can tell that this project is not going to be compliant based on the current water use that we have designed in the project. So what does that mean we need to do? That means we need to most likely reduce some of the high or moderate water use areas and make those either low or very low. So what I'll do is I will come back into AutoCAD here, and let's say this front yard, we are no longer going to do that as moderate. We're going to make that all low. Now we know we don't have any moderate here, so we're going to take that away, and our low is 1816. So we just change that, and then back in MAWAcalc, we can just delete this moderate, and already we see that we're compliant, but let's see what happens when we add more area. All right, and there we go. We are now compliant. So we can see that we know that our project is going to comply, and we would have gone down, if we hadn't done this preliminary analysis, we would have gone down the design process, maybe picked our plants, placed plants in our CAD software, and even maybe gone into starting the irrigation design, and we would have found out later on that this was not going to work. So doing this sort of analysis early in the project can definitely save you some headaches in terms of wasting time or potentially having to redo a whole bunch of planting design. Now, after we've done the preliminary design, we can actually go back into AutoCAD and draft and our planting plan and our irrigation plan. So I'm going to go back into AutoCAD and here we have a fully drawn irrigation plan, broken out the zones based on water use, solar aspect, and plant type, etc. So all the different factors that you would normally need to design an irrigation system, we've done that, and we have ended up with 10 valves. So I went ahead and took the square footage from each zone and what zone number it is and put it into a chart here that I'm just going to use to bring into MAWAcalc. So I'll jump back into MAWAcalc and I'm just going to get rid of these and add zones. All right, and we have 1 through 10. All right, now we have zone 1 and we have, that's going to be 10 square feet. So this is just a single magnolia tree. So I'm just going to call that magnolia. And that magnolia tree is a moderate and it's on drip. And then let's just go ahead to zone 7. I'm just going to get that out of the way because that is our lawn here. So our lawn was 388. And now I'll just go through and do the rest. So these are all, the rest are going to be low in this case. When we did our final planting design, that's how we ended up. And everything is drip. Except for that lawn. And now we just go in and put in our square footages. So we have 10, 395, 251, 94, 30, 347, 439, 96, 214. And you can see that we ended up with a compliant landscape and irrigation design here. We have our calculations, and if we go back to here, we can export our complete MWELO report. All right, so here you can see the MWELO report with the calculations and our hydrozone tables. This can be taken and imported directly into AutoCAD and then brought into your layout so you can include it with your plan submittals. All right, so that's how we can generate really quickly a compliance indication and determine whether or not our project is going to meet WELO compliance standards before we get down the road of design of our planting and irrigation systems. All right. If you want to take advantage of the time savings and ensure your accuracy, be able to do a compliance check before you get into your design, then please sign up We have offer codes currently running right here, and I will put those in the description for this video. Thank you. Have a great day.